Jack, we've been talking a lot today about how we communicate with people, from children to consumers to citizens, how important education is. Just say something about what you do at Sharpham.
Sharpham Outdoors project is a kind of land-based learning initiative trying to engage many different audiences really with natural world, farming environments, where their food comes from, and about wildlife and nature. That's done through kind of different initiatives.
So what do you do?
So we run an 80-acre farm, beef and sheep, which supports adults with learning disabilities. So that kind of farming kind of
they actually do the farming themselves.
Yeah, exactly. They kind of move their animals around. They muck out the barns in the winter. They feed up. We have a few hens, so they're grading the eggs, processing and selling them at local shops. So kind of the whole cycle really. So the idea of seeing all aspects of kind of food production.
And it works.
And it really works, yeah. That's one of the initiatives. There are others where we're working with local schools, trying to engage with the kind of natural environment of Sharpham.
Jack, you were telling us about the school children that come to Sharpham. Just tell us what you do with the children.
So we try and key into the national curriculum, but use the kind of natural learning environment as the focus of the learning. So that can be kind of using the geography of the landscape and learning about the way the kind of landscape's formed, soil structures and things like that, through to the biodiversity, doing some wild seed collections, butterfly surveys, things like that.
And are the children hungry? Do they enjoy it?
They do. It's fascinating how getting them out of the classroom and into the outdoors is just a real stimulus for learning. So some of the ones that don't perhaps get on so well with that kind of formal learning environment really seem to engage with being outside. But equally, the kids that are kind of more academic, say, seem to be kind of captivated by being able to learn in this kind of rich natural world.
How much of a job have we got to do now? I mean, what's your feeling, because you work with children? Is there a huge task to try and educate people about where food comes from, for instance?
There is. I mean, it's a kind of an ongoing task. It's fascinating how much change has happened over the last 10 years through ag environment schemes and initiatives to get people outside learning in the environment, but it's never ending, and I think to keep pushing that agenda, keep kind of motivating children to learn about their natural world, where their food comes from, is crucial.
So one of the stories we hear a lot is how difficult it is to get children into the countryside. There's rules and regulations that kind of don't really help. How do you get it? I mean, do you find that you have there's ways to overcome that?
There are ways to overcome that. I mean, we live in a kind of fairly rural location, and there are the tangible difficulties of getting out there. Things like transport. There is a willingness within academic kind of institutions to get kids outside, but actually you can't move a class full of children out to say Sharpham very easily. So we're trying to find little budgets to be able to pay for the transport, so that actually they're no longer restrictive. But there is a willingness within the kind of teaching community, I think, realising that learning about your natural environment within the natural environment is really important.
I've been really struck by today's conversation so far. We just keep saying it. This kind of education, talking to people, explaining, seems to be right at the centre of making so much more out of farming and food and making the connections to the natural environment. It seems to be a kind of central kind of issue at the moment. Are we good or are we bad? Just tell us on the spectrum how much more work we've got to do.
You're right. I think there is a disconnect. I mean, a kind of global disconnect between where your food comes from and actually the food that you're eating on the plate. But in Devon, I think we're the kind of pioneers of it. We have such a rich natural history, natural environment, and we're kind of pretty good at getting people out there and getting the message out there. It's just we're a small county, I suppose. So we have a really diverse natural environment. We always need to do more, but I think there is a willingness, and there's a kind of groundswell of NGOs and charities, as well as kind of learning institutions who want to learn about it.
Jack, that's great. Real kind of optimism to finish on. Thanks so much. Education really important to getting a better future around farming, food and nature. Yeah. Thanks so much.
Great.